Who are they?
Oh, those are the Solons. They're really, really close.
And who's that?
Snooki, JWoww, DJ Polly D.
No, not the douchebags from the Jersey Shore. Him.
Welcome back, fans and friends, to the Complete Guide to Horror podcast. Today, we're discussing Fright Night, the original 1985 American supernatural horror film, not the remake in 2011 that I don't think anybody ever watched, but I'll be surprised if there's a fan base out there.
Excuse me, then whose fault is it? Mine?
Just to clarify, this movie was written and directed by Tom Holland, not the twink from Spider-Man, the actual Tom Holland, the actual writer-director in the horror genre.
I'm watching porn.
Fright Night follows a young Charley Brewster who discovers that his next-door neighbour, Jerry Dandrige, is a vampire. When no one believes him, Charley decides to get Peter Vincent, a TV show host, who acted in films as a vampire hunter, to stop Jerry's killing spree. The ultimate Fright Night. This is, your typical 80s fun, entertaining horror movie. I do think it actually has some good scare sequences, even if it might be, a bit dated. And I have to be fair to this movie. This is well over, 37 years old, I think now. So 38 now. So, of course, things are going to seem dated technology-wise. It's a lot more of a longer horror movie. I mean, we see this across all mediums. Like, music is now 2 minutes and 40 seconds on average compared to what used to be 3 minutes and 40 seconds 10 years ago. So things change over time. But, I always love 80s movies, particularly because of the use of puppetry and physical effects over your typical CGI, which often doesn't really look better anyway. But love everything. I love all the marketing material with this movie, the poster. I mean, that poster is so iconic. I know straight away that's Fright Night. Even if sometimes I do get it confused with People Under the Stairs, like I mentioned in season 1. But, it's such a fun horror movie. Coop, I believe this was your recommendation. So, why did you pick Fright Night 1985?
I love this movie. I initially saw this when I was a kid, with like 10 or 11. Taped it off the TV, as we used to do back in the day. Cut out the ads, all that kind of shit. Lots of fun.
Have you ever bought or rented a videotape that wasn't quite right?
I'm wondering if, because I don't think I ever rented it out again later on when it moved over to DVDs or anything like that. So it kind of laid dormant for a while, but I remember loving this movie. And I think I watched it again maybe 2 years ago and showed my partner and had a good time with it.
That's amazing.
Really funny movie, almost kind of meta at times. Particularly, there's a comment by Roddy McDowall's character, Peter Vincent, about how nobody cares about like vampires and old Hollywood and all that anymore. Everyone just wants to see virgins get slaughtered by people in ski masks, because it was the mid 80s and all you were seeing was just like another Friday the 13th movies and people going nuts for slashers at that point in time. So I thought it was like a clever movie. I think that the acting is pretty bad in some sections, but I feel like it lends itself to the comedy of the movie and the silliness of it. It's a very 80s movie, but it's just a good time. Just a good 80s vampire movie that kind of sends up the horror genre a little bit, and I always enjoy. I mean, that's why I like Scream and more modern movies that sort of are a satire of what they are. And I think this is a good example of that. So that's why I picked the movie.
We had to bring the legacy characters back to make it matter. Can't have a bona fide Halloween without Jamie Lee.
Nope. Well, this is the first time I've ever seen Fright Night 1985. I know, shocking. I'm not really into, I guess, older sort of horror films. I don't know. I'm in two minds. I really want to like it like you, Coop, but I think maybe because I didn't watch it when I was younger, maybe I don't understand maybe like the legacy or why it's so good. And I think the biggest issue with this film, which is also positive and it's a weak point, is it's an 80s film. So there's some good bits of being an 80s film. There's also some bad bits of being an 80s film.
I have never seen anyone spend so much money to make a house look this tacky. I've honestly seen more tasteful decor at a Sizzler.
I kind of wish it was darker for a horror film. I just it didn't really give me a horror vibe and the whole sort of thing. I know it's about vampires and stuff, but I think it's just like an 80s thing, and just with the lighting and whatnot, just it didn't really kind of invite me in and feel like I was actually watching a complete horror film itself.
There wasn't enough time to file an injunction, and that I clearly don't understand what an injunction is if I ask them to file one in this situation.
There were some good scenes in it. As you said, the acting was like ho-hum. I did like the puppetry, as you said, Justin. There was actually some really good puppetry, even holding up to now, and I reminded me of like the Scooby-Doo ride, and they replaced it with stupid CGI stuff, and I kind of wish they went back to puppetry stuff because it looks so much better. Yeah, like I'm on the fence about it. I'm not saying it's a bad film. I don't know if I'd watch it again. I have seen the remake, but God, that was, I think, when it came out. I can't even remember. I don't even know if I knew it was a remake of the 1985 version.
She was carrying a shovel. There's nothing terrifying about that.
I just really love the designs of the vampires themselves. Like, even in your Zoom background, Coop, like, I just love how exaggerated everything is. Like, the eyes, the color of it, the teeth. It's just so different to what you would expect, you know, your typical vampire, especially for 1985, where everything was always like the fangs, white skin, perfectly slicked back hair. And the ability to transform into bats. And yet, I feel like Fright Night just, I guess, reverses all those stereotypes, so it creates its own monster. And it's just so much fun.
I don't like cold things.
So, you must hate Slurpees.
I really love the like the puppetry and the physical effects and the mouths. The mouths, they just look really, really good. I like the just how ridiculous the fangs and the faces are. I really like, what's his name? Evil. That character is just a nut. And I thought that was kind of like a good send up of just like the rebel sort of alternative character in 80s movies at the time, and he was just ridiculous and made an even funnier vampire, I thought. So that was good.
You know who we are, don't you? Yes! You're the Black Eyed Peas!
It's just always kind of interesting to see that snapshot in time of like, you know, people will watch Scream 5 and, you know, that was the era of like, you know, the whole requels and all that kind of thing. And people could look at this and like, oh, that's right. It was the Killing Virgins by the Lake era of horror. That's right. It's just like that nice little snapshot in time. So yeah, overall, just like the comedy aspects of it, and just the fact that there was sort of parody or satire inspiration to it as well. So yeah.
Because our movie has fucking stakes.
The 80s, I guess the pros with it, I said to Justin earlier, there's a really good scene where his name, it's Charlie, I think. Yeah, Charlie walks into the house and the camera pans from sort of the front door to the kitchen where the mum's in there, and it's sort of one continuous shot. But it's also like a nice shot that it's just a lot of dialogue and there's no cut sequences like in a lot of films today. They like to cut sequences up. And I said to Justin earlier, it's that thing where they're standing at one section of the kitchen and the next shot shows them at the other end. Whereas this is quite nice because it's sort of a flow of conversation. And it's an 80s film, so you actually sort of like getting engaged with the conversation and like building rapport, that sort of stuff.
Mine's just a regular jack-o'-lantern, which I'm sure you hate.
Correct. Start over.
There's one shot where Charlie's looking over to the house and it's the guy with the naked girl at the window. It's a really good like shot. I think it's just the way that it's shot was really nice. And the other one that I liked as well was when the blood was dripping down her back in 3 drips, I think, at the end where she's on the bed when she gets bitten, when she's when he's like they're making out, then bites the neck, and there's a really good shot of that.
Population 3,120. Holy shit! Make that 3,119.
My favorite actual part of the film I really liked was the disco scene. And it's with the girl and what's his name?
Charlie.
No, the guy, the vampire. You know how he's like,
Jerry.
So Charlie's on the phone, and then she goes out to the floor, and it's a bit of a will he, won't they situation, but it's actually really well done, like really well filmed, and it's just nice. It's like a dance sequence, but you're also like, is he gonna like, bite her, or is he not? And it goes on for about 4 or 5 minutes or whatever, and I really like that as well.
Line up for tonight's festivities. We're going to play a game called Cocaine or Dildo.
I know I'm being very unfair when I say this is my least favorite part, but again, this is an 80s movie, so I will always hate the color grading of this, and I know it's a product of its time, and I know there probably wasn't color grading techniques around that time and whatnot, but just even something to really break up the monotony of the colors. Like it's a lot of browns, which are very prominent, even with like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th. What's that other one? I Spit on Your Grave, the original 70s one. Like I just want a bit more pop of color. Like even with her eyes in the background. Sorry, I shouldn't say her, but like the red colored eyes, I just want something like that level of attention to detail for every scene so that, even if the disco scene just had a bit more vibrant hue to it, I just would have appreciated that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can only apply my 2023 criticism to a 1985 movie. So A, that's not fair. But B, I'm just struggling for something to pick at with this movie.
God, do I have to spell it out for you?
I reckon my least favorite thing is the sequel. Have either of you seen the sequel?
No, but I have heard about it.
It's pretty bad. I think it came out about 5 years later. From memory, I remember it being really gory and really stupid. But I think it's got like 10% on Rotten Tomatoes or something. But as for the original, not really. I think it's an enjoyable movie. All around, it kind of flows pretty well. You're not it's not dull at any point.
Don't go! Actually, I'm totally fine with her leaving.
Maybe in some areas it's a little bit dated, and I guess some of the scenes are a little bit too drowned out. But that's also, I do like that. I think it works well.
Liar!
The last 30 minutes, I thought the pacing was a little bit off compared to the first 3/4 of the film. Maybe after the disco scene when it sort of went back to the house, and it was just kind of, I was like, what's going on? Like, what's going to happen? It just kind of felt like it was kind of dragging on. Again, that's also probably like an 80s thing, so I can't really feel bad bagging out a film that's 38 years old.
2 hours ago, you were like, let's poison the bitch!
Well, I had a change of heart.
And other thing, Evil. Who is that character? What is that character? I thought it was like a mixture of Buzz from Home Alone, the creepy guy from Hey Arnold, I
know what you mean.
I couldn't pick it, and then I didn't know if he's one of those actors that's like 10 years older than the rest, because like he looked a bit older, and then he was like, oh, what's going on? It was kind of like like I wanted to shank him and be like, Yeah. So I don't know what his go was. Like, he was good, but he was also really annoying. So when he actually went down the alleyway, I was like, good, get bitten by a vampire. And then even at the end, he's like on the back of the Jeep and he's a vampire. And he's like, ah! Yeah. Yeah, apart from that, yeah, it's all right. So yeah.
Wait, Odin who? Where did you find that?
I don't know, the internet?
So just a little bit of additional trivia. So while we have spoken that there was a remake in 2011, which from what I can see had a little bit of success, in October 2020, Tom Holland confirmed that he was writing a direct sequel to the original film, currently titled Fright Night Resurrection, that would bring back characters from the original film and would ignore the sequel. Personally, I don't like when there's a tagline added to sequels. Like, I mean, we've seen it with, like, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It's just this, I guess for me, it's like a hallmark to be like, oh, just call it The Conjuring 3, or just call it Fright Night Part 3.
Halloween H2O, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will give Halloween
Come on now.
one, but then there's also Halloween Resurrection, which is one of the worst movies.
So bad. I hate that movie.
Just... I need to get my friend Liam onto this podcast because he always makes memes about how much he hates Halloween Resurrection. He actually makes really funny memes. So I'm like, why haven't I invited him on yet? But maybe Halloween Resurrection is a bit too traumatic for him. But
maybe. Yeah, that's his Final Destination 3.
I always get very hesitant though with this whole bringing back original cast things because I don't know, it's just some things in films that just don't work. Like the one I found was like Jurassic World Dominion, and this is like the last of the trilogy. So I brought back Sam Neill, what's his face, the leather jacket, and the blondie, and they were so like underutilized in the film that they were merely just standing around in a lot of the scenes and not doing much. So it just sort of felt like, yeah, they're all back, and it's like, you know, 1997 again or 1993 when Jurassic Park came out, but it just like, I don't know, it didn't work at all. It just felt like they had run out of ideas. They're like, let's get 3 original characters back and pay like, you know, 10 million each to get them on.
I guess it's like Daddy always says. If you want something done right, pay someone a lot of money to do it for you.
There's actually 100 trivia items listed on IMDb, and I'm not reading them out, or will be until next week. So just think it's interesting. So the crew spent a lot of time and money composing the scene where Jerry the vampire walks through Mrs. Brewster's bedroom and casts no reflection in the mirror. It doesn't work, director Tom Holland has frequently commented. The audience never notices it because I framed it badly. And I've seen that scene quite a few times. It comes up.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I think it's just a case of the director being too overly precious.
Yeah.
But
it worked in the club scene when they're like with the dancing, and then there was that mirror in the club. I thought that they did a good job there.
In the mirror scene where he's checking, you know, the back, and I had to rewind it because I think I forgot what was going on. I must have went on and then I dropped the thing and I looked back. I'm like, that was good.
Yeah. There was also a puppet that was created for the Ghost Librarian's monstrous visage in Ghostbusters, aka that, you know, whatever.
2016.
It was rejected as being too terrifying for the Ghostbusters movie. So when the visual effects crew went to work on Fright Night, they realized the rejected model resembled the vampire bat that they created. So they repurposed it, utilized it for the vampire's fiery destruction. I would have never picked up that was actually from Ghostbusters until we did it, because I don't think we see it in the original 1984 Ghostbusters. But yeah. Also, this is a bit of an interesting one. I didn't know this was a thing that people were actually interested in, but frustrated that they'd never been asked to do DVD extras or commentaries. All of the principal cast members, except Amanda Spears, whatever her name was, recorded 2 pirate commentaries, which were released as free MP3 files on the Icons of Fright website in 2008. However, due to a contractual stipulation with Sony, the distributor, Twilight Time, stupid name, was unable to produce original content for their 30th anniversary edition Blu-ray release in 2015. So they included the pirated MP3 commentaries and other pre-existing bonus materials. Like, I always find it funny that people are so obsessed with audio commentaries because my worst nightmare is watching a movie and people talk over it.
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up.
Talk when it's like nothing good is happening, then shut up and let us watch it. And then talk again. Don't talk during it.
Shut when you think about it.
Another thing is, much of the film's $9.5 million budget was spent on special effects. It was the first vampire film to spend $1 million on special effects, which was overtaken by Twilight in 2008 by spending $10 million on, what's her name? Kristen Stewart having a personality? No, but I love Twilight. I'm such a fan. Even just the Twilight shit posting groups are just amazing.
Ah, Becca. Why don't you take the empty seat next to that mysterious boy you're destined to have a fatalistic relationship with that will spawn 4 books in a movie franchise?
I've actually read all the books, hey. I read them when I was like 15.
I had a good car in it. That was about it.
I think I stole all the books from the Buckethead's library once. Actually, let me re-clarify, the high school library, not the actual public library.
I just like vampires suck more than Twilight because it's such a good piss take.
In fact, I'm dating someone much weirder. It's a lady guy.
Becca who? I'm totally over her. I've moved on. I'm done with normal chicks. I finally found someone as freaky as me.
My first wish, music up as loud as you get. My second wish, girls rocking my face.
Too freaky.
1988, Fright Night was adapted as a PC game for the Commodore Amiga computers. Players portrayed Jerry the vampire, who had 12 hours of darkness to visit every room of his sprawling mansion and kill intruders. All of the principal characters from the film were included, even the hooker character, Cheryl Lane, but obviously not the detective Lennox, and neither was Jerry's henchman, Billy Cole. I really want to know what this game looks like, because I can imagine it's just as terrible in quality as like E.T. or
I'm picturing like GoldenEye 1997, but like missing half those pixels again.
Heidi Sorensen, who plays the hooker that Charlie sees going into Jerry's house, was actually the Playboy Playmate of the Month in July 1981. So for a lot of the younger viewers who are watching, being like, what the fuck is Playboy? So Playboy was a porn magazine that was quite popular in its heyday, came out on usually a monthly basis, and then I think it went to quarterly or 6 monthly or whatever. But the whole appeal of that magazine was that in the middle, there was always a centerfold who was deemed the Playmate of the Month. And it was always someone, I shouldn't say someone, it was always a girl that was always naked and whatnot. Although at times, Playboy often did do like nude centerfolds of men, which, you know, if you're a straight guy who buy a Playboy, wouldn't you be like, what the fuck?
Like, if it's Hugh Hefner, you'd probably be like, oh, okay, I guess he gets away with it.
Isn't he like 95 years old?
Yeah, but in his heyday, it'd be like, oh, yeah.
You're a weird psycho lunatic who's gonna end up in an asylum somewhere staring at a wall trying to nurse a watering can. You're a Mary Todd Lincoln if ever there was one. That's it! I can't take this anymore! That is such a Mary Todd Lincoln thing to say.
So the trailer itself is, you know, your typical 80s trailer where they over-explain everything. Reminds me a lot of Child's Play 1988. But in the description, it says, meet Jerry Dandrige. He's sweet, sexy, and he likes to sleep in late. You might think he's the perfect neighbor, but before inviting Jerry in for a nightcap, there's just one thing you should know. Jerry prefers his drinks warm, red, and straight from the jugular.
Your skin is pale white. You dress fashionably, and you abstain from sex. I know what you are.
Say it. Out loud. Say it.
Jonas Brother.
That's right.
I'm going to give this 8 vampire fangs out of 10. That's a lot of teeth for a vampire to sink into, so I think I'm being more than generous. Don't have anything bad to say about this movie. I'm just not sure if this is one that I would rewatch on a regular basis. Maybe I might show my younger sister. Maybe I'll rewatch it in 3 or 4 years, but yeah, 8 for me. What about yourself, Coop?
I love this movie. I'm going to give it an 8.5 wooden stakes out of 10.
Very nice. And BP, what do you give Fright Night?
I want to be nice.
Be honest.
I want to 5.5.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Would you give it like 5.5 wooden stakes, vampire bites?
5.5.
Crucifixes.
5.5. I don't know. Fangs, yeah, maybe fangs. 5.5. Oh, yeah, maybe 5.5 blood streaks or something.
Ooh, that's good.
5.5 blood streaks out of 10. Yeah.
Nice. So I think the average works out to be. Fuck, I already forgot it. Yeah. Goddamn. Would you say the average is like 7, 7.5? Which, you know, for an 80s movie is still quite high. I can't stand it when I see movie reviews and they're like, the 80s movie was in 4.3 aspect ratio. I'm like, yeah, that's what it was back then. Like, do you not know your film history? But anyway.
Do I smell
Yeah, like tuna.
lunch?
All things aside, I just want to say BP and Coop, thank you both very much for joining me to discuss Fright Night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Listeners, keep an eye out for future episodes. We have one available every week. Also, check out our previous episodes. We have everything from Little Monsters to Megan to Relic. Also, season 1, we cover all of Final Destination and Saw. If you like this episode, give us a like, comment, share, tip, etc., etc. And if you hated this episode,
I'll cut you.
Hey, squirrel friend. When one video ends, just open up another one. It's called binge viewing. Go ahead. I support you.